Without love, it's impossible to see the kingdom of God. In 1 John 4 verse 7, he said, "Beloved, let us love one another, for love is from God, and everyone who loves is born of God and knows God. The one who does not love does not know God, for God is love." So love is a fruit of the Spirit. Love is produced when you are filled with the Spirit, when you know God, when you have a relationship with God. You will love. If you're walking in the Spirit, you will love. But not loving and not loving your neighbor as yourself is a fruit of the flesh, a fruit of walking in the flesh and not walking in the Spirit. Matthew 22 verse 36 says, "Teacher, what is the greatest commandment in the law?" Jesus replied, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. The second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments." Every commandment in the Bible can be summed up with loving God with all your heart and loving your neighbor as yourself. Romans 13 verse 9, it says, "The commandments: you shall not commit adultery, you shall not murder, you shall not steal, you shall not covet, and whatever other commandments there may be are summed up in this one commandment: love your neighbor as yourself. Love does no harm to a neighbor, therefore love is the fulfillment of the law." And Jesus said in John 14 verse 15, "If you love me, keep my commandments. If you love me, obey my commandments." And even Paul said in 1 Corinthians 13 verse 1, "If I speak in the tongues of men or of angels and do not have love, I am a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy and can fathom all the mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have faith that can move mountains and do not have love, I am nothing. If I give all my possessions to the poor and give over my body to the hardship that I may boast and do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient, love is kind, love does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, nor does it dishonor others. It is not self-seeking, and it is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs, does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. But where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Wherever there is knowledge, it will pass away. For we know in part and we prophesy in part. When completeness comes, what is in part disappears. When I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I resigned like a child. When I became a man, I put away childish things behind me. For now we see only a reflection in the mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully. Even as I am fully known, and know these three remain: faith, hope, and love. And the greatest commandment of these is love. Love is the greatest commandment. Love will help us in every area. When we're struggling, when people persecute us, when people treat us like crap, when our family and people, even in our own family, don't, belittle us for following God, and they talk bad about us. People at school talk bad about us and persecute us. If you love your neighbors yourself and be like, I don't want to be treated like that. I don't want someone to hold a grudge against me. And you love them like you would love yourself. That's how you fulfill the whole law. And it can be so hard to fulfill the whole law. I mean, it's without the Spirit leading us, it's hard to follow God's commandments. But if we love God with all our heart and we love our neighbor as ourselves and we just cast our cares upon God, because it can be hard at times to cast our cares upon God, to hold these burdens and these things on our chest that we're not meant to carry. But we have to cast our cares unto God, and He will give us peace, and He will help us through everything that we go through, every trial, every tribulation. He didn't promise that everything would be all hunky-dory. He said you will have trials, you will have tribulations, you will have hardships in this life, but you have God. You have something the world doesn't have, and that's that you have a Father up in heaven, and you have His Spirit living on the inside of you, and He will never leave nor forsake you. He has plans to give you a hope and a future. But I like what word they use in all these scriptures. The word they use for love is agape. Agape is throughout the whole Bible when it's talking about love. When it's talking about unconditional love, that's what agape is loving not based on condition, not based on if someone treats you bad, but it's selfless love. The English word that compares to this is charity. giving without expecting anything in return. And this is how we should love, because God gave us agape love. And God gives us agape love all the time. When we fall short, when we disobey Him, when we just do things that don't line up with His word, God gives us agape love. He gives us grace and love, even when we don't deserve it. And so we should always agape love like God. We should have the love of God and walk in the love of God at all times.